All right, let's go ahead and kick this off. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Painted Live. Hope you guys are having a good Sunday evening. And here we go with one of these. So tonight, we're saying prepping Legion vehicles, and I can't do that with this setup. The Legion vehicles are too big. I'll do maybe some build, but um, you're not going to see much of it. So it's going to be kind of awkward if I do that. So I figure I might as well build the rest of the commission. So I'm building Darth Maul right now, and we're putting together specifically these little Sith probes, which are cool, but they're little four-piece things that are the first one. It looks a little intimidating when you're about to build them, but once you figure it out, it's not that big a deal. You can see I have one here built, and I've got Maul there. But we are going to go ahead and build the other two, and then I'm hoping Nelson can come on and tell me what that, what stance, what position he wants Darth Maul to be in specifically. Otherwise, I'm going to take my best guess, or I'm going to pick something that I like. I think this is just my opinion, but I think there's only one good pose in the. I think there's only one good pose, but that's just me. That is just me. Hey, what's up? More Star Wars! More Legion, such a streak! The Star Wars will take over the channel! Yeah, we're building some Star Wars. Um, yeah, Nelson, I'm going to ask you what position you want Darth Maul's arms to be in. So, I think I only like the one that's painted with that's got him that's got the dual sabers in his left arm, and he's kind of doing like a force pose. I think that's cool. The other two are just sort of take it or leave them. But I'll defer to whatever you think is whatever you think he'd like. I guess we'll put it that way, right? So we'll figure that out. To Star Wars. So that one, yeah, that's the only good one. The other two look weird. I mean, the double-handed hold I actually think is okay, but the one where it just looks like he's about to hand you his dual, so like, here, you try. That one is a terrible pose, I think. But that's just me. Right, so we're gonna build these little robots. And yeah, I just don't know. I can't really show too much of the vehicle building here because it's just too tight of a space, right? But we could build Maul, we could build Yoda. I actually already have the droid tank built, and I got this guy kind of primed, so we can, I don't know, work on that guy if we want. And as far as the droid tank, I'm probably gonna have to tape it, right, just to get the different colors on there. So that's all good. We'll do that. And yeah, whatever you guys want to talk about today. This weekend, I got to play some Warcaster, which is not Star Wars, but Warcaster is pretty cool. I do think that Bing has a point that Warcaster does really kind of make you change your brain, your thinking on war games because it is I call it the tabletop RTS. So that's cool, but it's definitely not without its idiosyncrasies, right? So like playing at GameCraft, it got a little frustrating just setting up the game and having all the different units out. Um, it feels like, and I've only played Skirmish, so take this with a massive grain of salt, but it feels like there's too much game to me. It feels like if that's Skirmish, like that feels like a regular ass game. You have to take 8 units to play Skirmish. That's a lot of units, man. Uh, so it just feels like too much for what you're getting. It feels like too much game. It's kind of like God tier. I'll say that. The 3 champions in God tier, it just I I don't know. I don't know. Having played that mode, I don't feel like 3 champions nets you anything more than kind of just extending the time of the game. I got the hiccups. But yeah, take that with a grain of salt. But you know, I was supposed to say something there. Okay, so let's glue these. You do have to stick one of these like all the way out on the edge, and that gets annoying, but we'll do that. All right. Let me let me make sure I've got the right arms in mind, or the right arm pose in mind with, ooh, okay. So we'll put these out. Full game of Warcaster is way too, there's just, I don't know, there are certain games like that they're decent games, but it's like the designers don't have an understanding of how long a good game should be, right? I think, in my opinion, a good game should not really last you significantly longer than 2 hours. Once you get to the 2 hour mark, and I'm talking about a game that you fully understand and that you're very comfortable running, right? I get that if you're just learning a game, it could take like 3-4 hours in some cases to figure out a game. But once you've figured out a game, it should not take you, in my opinion, should not take you longer than 2 hours to play a game. Otherwise, that game is no good. That's just me. Um, a modern, I'll say that, a modern game. If you're playing an RPG or something more immersive, then sure, go ahead and you're gonna take a little bit more time with those kind of D&D sessions run hours and that kind of thing. I just don't have time for that, right? And it's one of the reasons why I like to play miniature games is because they're going to be a little bit faster. They're tactical, right? You get that, you get to scratch a tactical itch playing the games. You get to obviously scratch a hobby itch playing the games or preparing to play the games. But yeah, some games are it's just too much game. It's like, calm down. You can still have plenty of fun experience playing these games if you pare them down a little bit. Okay, so you could go either one, just not the double-handed. Okay, you know, I could do the one where the saber's in his right hand. We could do that. I'm wondering what I want to do a different pose between the one I'm painting for you and the one I'm painting for my son. So that's kind of where I'm going with this. Let's see. I mean, I could go that route. Let's go this route with you. Let's go. Let's go the stance that I prefer between the two, and then we'll because I don't think my son is gonna pick the stance that I prefer. So I'm gonna give you the stance that I prefer, which is the box art stance. So it's that arm and this arm, right? But I will say that I do like some of what what Bing is talking about with Warcaster, that like it makes you think about your spacing. You think about your spacing and your resource planning and your activations. And the card mechanic feels really strong. It feels really strong. That's a concern I have about the like long-term design of the game. Is what are they going to do with cards? And that seems to be something that could end up, kind of being broken. But right now, the factions are so similar that it's like, well, I can see that it's probably not. There's probably nothing broken about that deck right now, or combinations you can do with the deck right now. But you know, what about the future? And then there is the criticism that's kind of around that too, that like the factions are they just seem very samey. That's the word we keep using when we're talking about Warcaster. It's like, oh, the factions are they just feel samey and safe and comfortable, and I don't like that. Right? It just seems really, the style and the art and everything just feels kind of like nothing novel. It just feels like, oh, it feels familiar, but in like a boring way, right? The fourth faction? Okay. Well, we'll find out, right? Make sure. Yeah, this is the right arm. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna go that route with Maul. I think that is my favorite of the poses. The most combat making sense one. Okay, and then we're gonna tape those, and then where do? This is interesting. On these, there's no specific spot for the flat piece, so I guess you would just glue straight on like that instead of using the ball joint, right? I think we'll see. Let's let's put some tape on them though. Where's my painter's tape? That is one thing about Legion, is gotta get used to taping up flying bases, or you're not gonna have a good time. Let's see. But yeah, Warcaster, for what it's worth, was decent. It's one of those things like, yeah, I'll play that again. It just it just doesn't. I don't get excited about that game. It's like, yeah, sure, why not? I guess we'll play it, I suppose. It's just like I said, the game is just sort of there. And I think lately, the game that really gets me excited to play based on the rules and how it plays, still Wrath of Kings, still Bushido, and then for the other games I play, Legion. Legion's just fun for just like I kind of look at Legion as like it's just kind of like a dice chucker with your and talk trash about Star Wars, and that's about it. Um, I'm sure people would disagree with me, but that's kind of how I'm looking at Legion. It's like, yeah, it's just there you go. Ooh, this is gonna be if I double, it's too broad. See what I'm saying? If I go that wide, that's not good. So I'm actually gonna tear this in half that way and make a piece like that. Yeah, Malifaux kind of just it's like the designers of third edition had this great idea of, man, let's really lean into these really unusual play styles and let's explore design space, right? And I love that, right? Because the masters and their keywords got their playstyles back, which was one of my biggest criticisms about M2E was that you didn't have the really cool characteristic playstyles that you had in Malifaux 1.5. And so they kind of came back in Malifaux 3rd edition, and I was like, dude, Malifaux is back. I was like so happy. You guys know I love Malifaux forever and ever and ever. And then it's like they took a good thing and they went a little too far with it, right? In my opinion, uh, they they just the interactions became so programmed that it was like, well, what are we doing at the end of all this, right? Like, or what game were we playing? Because I'm getting confused at this point. Where'd that other piece of tape go? Okay. Anyway, let's go ahead and so we'll just tape these up. But it is like I am glad that I like Legion and my son likes Legion. That was like a big sell. Is okay, well, right. I know my kid is gonna want to play war games eventually. I always kind of like he's like, Dad, I'll never play 40K. Right? He's like, be proud of me, Dad, I'll never play 40K. And I'm like, that's cool, son, but if you do like 40K, like 40K, right? I told him like, hey, the reason why I don't like 40K is it's like I've been with 40K forever and ever and ever. I'm tired of it. I think it's terrible. Blah 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 blah. But now, if you like 40K, play some 40K. Okay, this is weird. Wait, I gotta check this. What is the actual? Which one of these sides is the actual front? Because that looks like that could be the front. I think this is the actual front. Does the front have the dimple or not? I don't think maybe the front does not have the dimple. But if the front doesn't have the dimple, why is it? What? What? The front does not have the dimple. But why are these backwards then? Why is this? What have I done wrong? Why is that? The scanners are all seem to be facing the wrong side. Maybe oh, okay. This is a problem. This is a problem. Yeah, this is the front, but I think I put the bottom on incorrectly. Oh boy. So I'm going to have to Whoa. Yeah, I put the bottom on incorrectly. It should be this way then, right? And I did that on all of them. Uh-oh. Quick disassemble before the plastic cement really sets, and then we got real problems. So do that. Okay, good to know. You can put these together incorrectly. That's good. The directions don't have the most clear. There we go. That's what that's supposed to look like. Okay. All right. Yeah. See. Okay. This is always a little scary. Oh man. Oh boy. Oh, that's scary. Ah, there we go. Just don't tear the plastic too hard. There we go. Yeah, that kind of sucks that you can put these on backwards, right? That kind of blows. There we go. All right. Now let's just disassemble and reassemble the last one. Oh wait. No. This one's right. Okay. There you go. Okay. Meanwhile, this super glue has kind of given up on that. So let's let that sit for a minute. Okay. I think we should... No, this one's backwards still. What? All right. Okay. There we go. Yay! Now they're all facing the correct way. Okay. So now I can glue these on here. Let's see. I'm trying to read. Move, Darth Maul. I can't read the comment. Yeah, cut both sides. Objective and shared objective just down to 1. Force the masters and factions interact with each other more. Yes. Or or cut the scheme pool down. I would do this. I would say I loved it when factions had faction specific schemes. So you could do like a pool of like three shared schemes, or you can take your faction specific scheme. I don't know, something like that. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Something like that that would help kind of reduce the setup. You don't need 5 different deployments, right? Just there are other ways to simplify, right? You can simplify the game. Okay. So I'll hold this together. That a little bit more upright. But yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about last week after playing the Legion tournament. I'm like, do we just, does every miniature game think it needs to be like stupidly complex to try to, you know, get you to play it, or to get people to think that like that's such a big deep part of the strategy when it isn't, or maybe in some cases maybe it shouldn't be. I don't know. All right. Anyway, here's the Sith probes. Okay. So let's let those dry, and let's go ahead and let's put together the two Yodas, I guess. Why not? Why not? That's what we're doing tonight. I can't really build the tank on camera, the other tank, because I built the droid tank, but yeah. So it looks like, all right. So which two of these Yodas do you want? Mm. The parts are so small on the little Yoda, but lots of cards. I figure, I guess I could give you two Yoda minis to make up for the cost of such a tiny little kit. Okay, if your son does want to play 40K, would you actually fund him or make him buy his own 1K army? Well, if he was a teenager, I would tell him he would have to earn his own army. Okay? If he wants to play 40K. If he wants to play other games, if I want to play the game with him, then I will at least partially fund him. Because it's a big deal, right? If we're going to play a game together, sure, I'll kick down some. I'll help him pay for that. But if it's just 40K and I'm like, son, I hate 40K, well, there. Okay. Let's see. Surprise me. I'll be honest, jumping action pose Yoda. Okay, I'm gonna do jumping action pose Yoda. All right, let's build that one first. Parts are so tiny. Okay, let's do this. You know, it would get really expensive is if both my kids got into wargaming, which is something I could see happening. That sounds like that's something I would wake up in a cold sweat over. Hey, what's up, Jason? Right? That would rightfully scare the crap out of me. Just wake up one morning and both my kids are like, I'm going to start a new army. But if they both got into it, that would be cool, as long as they didn't get hyper competitive and want to like punch each other out, or you know, they didn't end up being that guy in the hobby store that no one wants to game with because of how annoying they are, right? Certain things we're gonna have to look out for. You got all the models though. So once I get this piece off, there. All right, so here's so we gotta put this one together. And this is the part that that always kind of sucks, right? Getting a little nub off the lightsaber. That part always kind of sucks because you don't want to go too aggressive on it, or you'll cut a hole in the lightsaber, right? You just kind of want to get it down to where you could scratch the rest of it off. Dad, we both, yeah, that's right. Then I'm just gonna laugh in their faces because I'm like, well, it's your fault for choosing a bad game, right? Hopefully, there are still other miniature games around at the time, but I don't know. Maybe there won't be, right? Maybe miniature gaming will get taken over by the normies and they'll Disney it, right? You'll be playing Disney Warhammer 40K. That's what will happen. That's what will happen, super fans. That's your fault. Oh, I love it so much. The Emperor's gonna be Disney 40K. What do you mean the Space Marines were a bunch of fascists? No, they're not. They're hyper-inclusive, progressive-minded altruists. That's what the Space Marines were about always. Yes, that's and then they don't. No bolters. No, they don't carry. They don't carry violent guns. They only carry chainsaws. Just chainsword eviscerators and lightning claws. None of that horribly violent stuff like guns, right? That's what's gonna be, right? And that's what we have to look forward to, and they're gonna be and the Space Marines they're not gonna have their own lore. They're just gonna remind you of other lore that was once good. Oh, you like that one? Well, we have 12 more spin-offs coming for lore. You don't even know what's gonna happen. Oh, how I don't know how this goes together. Yeah, Disney Space Marines is gonna be a thing. You'll see. This is the fault of this bad consumer base that really literally won't let you criticize anything. No, you can't say anything bad because then you're attacking. If you don't like it, then you don't like me. And then this is my whole identity. You better like all this stuff or you can't say anything bad about it. Because I don't have a real personality. I'm just defined by liking this. Right? That's what's going to happen. Am I being harsh? Probably. Yeah, being harsh. Being harsh. What the? I cannot for the life of me figure out how this is supposed to fit. Stupid Disney Space Marines. Okay, but honestly, I will be laughing if it did become Disney Space Marines. Right? And there's, they're going to have to remove all the guns. You can't have you're no longer you're not even allowed to talk about like what gender or not gender the different races are. You're not allowed to talk about that. They're just like they will come up and end you immediately. Uh, what am I even looking at? The pieces. What? Okay. Hold on. Yeah, Yoda has many pose options. But yeah, that's, I mean, if you don't, if you fail to see the pattern at this point of everything that is out in popular media, right? It's the one reason why I'm relieved in a sense um, that 40K is still around, because 40K will take the brunt of this, and there's still chance that this will backlash really hard and they'll leave the rest of the hobby alone. That's that's my hope. But, but it's true. Like Disney, they're just going to swallow up this as like any other thing. It's popular, it makes money, and then they basically have to gentrify it. I cannot for the life of me figure out what these little pieces do. Where Okay, hold on. Let's work on what we do know. This is the hood part, and that's eventually gonna go there. Okay. What even is that? Okay. Oh, we forgot AO5. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully the hobby is still a cool thing when my kids are older and they really want to play it. If not, well, so long. We're gonna just have to pick a new. We'll just have to pick a new hobby. What am I even? I think I've lost my brain. I Okay. That should be like what? Like that? Where is the front of the? I don't see a line that matches. And these are the parts that I know go together somehow. What? Is it like that? Dude, none of this fits. I don't understand. What what are we doing here, guys? Okay. Here's here's the other foot, and it's supposed to go in there. What? Okay, that absolutely is supposed to go there. Is it? How come nothing fits though? It's supposed to fit like that. Okay, this particular kit is just chopped so weird. Okay, what? Right, so that's okay. We found something. I still don't know how it attaches to the rock, because they cut a bunch of jagged lines that don't do anything. Also, why do these rocks look nothing like the pile of rocks in the art? Is there another piece that I'm missing? Like, it looks nothing like that. What is going on? Great. What? Hold on. Let's see. I'm just gonna have to take. So that's like that. Mm-mm. Is it like this? It's like that. Where's the back of the rocks then? Hold on. Is this the back of the rocks? This could very well be the back of the rocks. See, this is why we have to spend important stream time figuring out how this actually goes together. Oh man, that's wild. It's like that. That's how it is. Okay. They don't show you that in the instructions, but that's how the dumb little pile of rocks goes together, right? Like that, okay? Which means this dumb pile of rocks goes, we're going to figure this out. Which means this goes like that somehow. And again, it's just not a very clean fit. Usually, and I like to praise AMG for their kits. Their kits go together pretty well. But whoever was working on this one was very hazy about where the different parts of the model were going to fit. Oh my gosh. There we go. It goes like that. I hate everyone. I hate everyone. Okay. Oh my gosh. You. Okay. There we go. Slowly but surely getting there. Let's go ahead and glue that. It'll make it easier for me to attach. If I glue it. Okay. So we'll go like that. Okay. And this just doesn't seem right. Where's the actual... Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and stick this part on. Oop. Curious to see what Jason thought of Bushido. Oh boy. There we go. Okay. Here's that. hopefully the more of these pieces I put on, oh, don't do that to me. Come on, you. Stay put. Ah! Why? Okay. Stay like that. Let's glue that down. Okay. This is unnecessarily bad, the way they cut the lines on this. It's really, that's just weird. None of the, the seams are particularly clear, right? There's no like flat line to really, there aren't very clear flat lines, I should say. There are flat lines, but you have to, you gotta just kind of figure out. Right, and see how it's like, it's cut so weird that it's just rickety. There, like there we go. All of the three pieces that we had together previously just fall apart. All right, let's try this again. Wow, and nothing, because you just don't have good contact points. See how that's like that's not sticking very well there, because you just don't have a good, there's a flat piece of the rock, but the majority of the real estate does not actually make contact with the part it's gluing to. And in fact, now it's just doing something totally weird. Okay, now it doesn't even want to be on that weird hole. Oh boy. Oh boy. Is that even supposed to do that? What a weird time for that whole thing to kind of just come undone like that. Okay. You would think a little guy like Yoda is not 7 pieces. All right. Let's put the other arm on, because at least, see how there's flat areas there? That should at least stick. There are so many weird contact points that I can't get a stable, like, I can't get this to form like a very stable piece. Right? Usually when you're gluing this together, as you add more pieces, the structure starts to get a little more sound, and I'm not getting that out of Jumping Jack Yoda here. Okay. All right. So there's that. Now will the stupid part of the rock sit on this stupid thing? Okay. Go on, stupid part of the rock. right? It just barely contacts. It just barely contacts that. There we go. And I can glue that little seam on. Nope. See? Still hates. It still hates being on the rock. That's how it's supposed to sit on the rock, okay? Stay put. Okay. Can you try building with me? The same Yoda? Okay. Good luck, sir. That one was just goofy. All right, let's do the other one. Start putting together the pieces for this. At least there's not a dumb rock with bad contact points to deal with. Bloop. What is it that the downed ATST with the with the scenarios? Is that worth me picking up? I do want a downed ATST for terrain, but do I want it $50? Want? You know what I mean? Maybe there's a cool scenario. No, you say it's not worth me getting. But I do want that because I probably don't want an ATST. If this makes sense, I need larger pieces for my Legion board, right? I would rather have the downed ATST to just kind of prove that, like, hey, it's Hoth. Remember Hoth? Remember the scene? Oh my God, guys, it's just like the movie. To do that, and then in that way I don't have to actually just field an ATST. I'm just like, no, there it is. You shot it down before the game started. They're not used for normal games. I don't care. I guess, I mean, I could still use it for when we play friendly games, I guess. We'll see. I don't know. I just don't know if it's $50. You know what I mean? But I do need larger bits of terrain for my Legion board, which is really just Malifaux terrain at this point. Right? Okay. This looks like this is going to be somewhat easier to deal with than the other kit. Man, I'm hoping, Sean hasn't popped on here, but I'm hoping to get a lunch game with Sean tomorrow. And I'm hoping we can play either, I do want to play some BMG, or we could play Bushido. I don't think Warcaster is, and he doesn't know how to play Warcaster yet. So if we do end up doing Warcaster, I'd have to just teach him, like just kind of spend the time going, okay, it's more like a longer kind of demo version of the game. Cartoon C3P, yeah, but they come with the starters that are coming out, right? So if I get that, then what? So if I get that, then I don't need to get the crashed pod, right? I'm planning, as far as miniature wise, I'm not really planning on buying much else for my Hoth armies until those things come out. because then I'll have some need to. How do I like Warcaster? We were just talking about that. I like it. It's definitely, I was saying it just sort of exercises different muscles for wargaming because you're just playing a tabletop RTS really. But my main complaint is all the factions feel the same. There's nothing exciting about the factions, or and it's just too much game at the full size. It just seems like I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze if you're gonna go 15 units deep on a full size game, right? And set up all your pieces for an hour and a half and build, what is essentially 75 points of War Machine. Right? I mean, I plan on keeping it in the lineup. I'm definitely going to continue to play it, but I just don't think it's worth the full game. And why won't my boy just chill, Yoda? There we go. His arm should be able to, you should be able to just make contact with the. Oh, why do you hate me? Why isn't that able to make contact right there? Make contact with the board. There we go. Okay. Let's let this stuff dry for a minute. I will probably, that said, if Privateer Press ever gets out of their sort of sameness with regards to their aesthetic and their boringness of factions, I think Warcaster could be a super fun game, frankly. If the factions had any kind of interesting character to them, it would be sort of fun. As it stands, the game is, like I said, it's like, it feels like you are playing what could be a very good game, but like everything around it is just so boring. And I absolutely, the worst thing about Warcaster that I absolutely hate is the weapon options. I just want to punch someone in the face with the Warjack weapon options. I know, like we get in the discussion all the time. People like that shit. Like, oh, I'm going to put this on this shoulder. This is going to make my work. Guys, it's not worth the time. It's not worth the time and the brain bandwidth. Just make a Warjack do a Warjack thing. Right? Just don't give us a choice. Just stop. Stop with the, you could put this on this shoulder. No, it's a waste of time. And it was annoying the shit out of me when we're trying to set up. And I'm like, okay, and you have to have 8 units for skirmish. And that already was like, what? Why do you have to have 8 units for? I'm gonna go into like Asian. Why 8 units skirmish? Like 6 units at the most. Like, dude, like make this a convenient stop. Just stop with the bloat. Stop. And all this stupid Warjack options. And then to make it worse, once the game is locked in, that's for that particular slot and that particular Warjack, that's all you get. So you are then encouraged to buy more Warjacks to switch options, or or just field the same model at 2 slots and only bring in one at a time and swap the armament when you bring it in. God, like, just make the piece do what the piece do, right? So there's stuff like that's like, yeah, it doesn't make, that is not interesting game design, guys. It's not. It If we're playing BattleTech, sure, I guess, and that's all the only model you got. But this is a real time strategy game played out on a tabletop. You don't need that. You don't need it. So just say, here's your light warjack, here's your heavy warjack, here's what they do, right? Here's your stupid flying thing, Octave, your stupid flying bus. Stupid flying bus only gets this armament. I don't know. Again, what my problem with the choices, right? I just think we could tailor all that shit down and still have a very good, fun wargaming experience. And people who like want to obsess over that, well, I don't know. There's Infinity. Go, like, there are lots of games that do that, right? I know. I want to get on the board. I want to go. And you want to know something? Some of my favorite people that I've played war games with or miniature games, they feel the same way. It's like, I don't want to just go. Give me my stuff. Let me go. Let's go on the board. Start moving pieces around. Let's start making decisions that aren't, oh, if I need to spend this many hard points on, like, there's more to life, guys. Can we just go on with the game? Anyways, that got a little frustrating, and then, but once the game settled in, it was cool. It took me a while again because I'm not reading all the text on the different cipher cards, and it again. I get that it's a thinky thing. It's a clever game. We'll call it that. It's a clever game. Spent 5 minutes looking for Yoda's face. Oh no. Oh, that's horrible. Hope you got it. Or you're going with option C. Right? Luckily, you got a third option if you can't find that Yoda's face. Right? You're going to have to pick the one I picked, which is Yoda holding in his shit so that he can lift Luke Skywalker's X-Wing. But yeah. Ooh. Knocked my camera around. That's how angry I was. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Warcaster. Yeah, could be a good game. Bloated. Problem 1, bloated. Problem 2, factions boring as shit. Boring as shit factions. Just boring art direction. Horrible packaging. Yeah. And one of the best criticisms I've heard of the game was from your friend Thomas Chris, who was like, it's just a lot of rolling dice. That was Thomas. I was like, hey Tom, I'm gonna play some Warcaster today. And he's like, really? It's a lot of rolling dice. And then he just walked off. I'm like, yeah, it kind of is just a lot of rolling dice, isn't it? All right. Oh, you found, okay. Yeah, see? It's the most tactical Rock Yoda ever. Rock Tactical! Yeah, we were all curious to hear what you thought of Bushido. I know you don't have a microphone handy, but you know what we gotta do is I gotta get Jake down here, have him play Bushido with me, and then I'll bring him on the stream, and me and Jake will just talk each other into a frenzy and buy 3 more factions, right? So so Jake and I we have that thing. We have that gamer. We'll call it gamer inebriated state where we hype each other to the point where we just do dumb shit with our money. It's happened many times before. Uh, Perfect example of this is one time. This was years ago. We were playing Malifaux at a shop that was open late, and we liked that. Like, remember back in the day, you'd play at Brookhurst Hobbies or whatever, and the shops would stay open late. We would play. Remember, we used to play at. You guys remember this? We used to play at the mall, right? We used to play Batman V1 at the mall, and that was just such a cool. That was such a cool experience for gaming. Because you kind of felt like you're like, oh, this is cool. We're gonna just play late into the night. You know, those of us who are married with kids are like, yeah, the wife is asleep, the kids are asleep. We're just gonna burn the midnight oil and play some games, and right, and we'll be in this little speakeasy area, which is like the hidden part of the shop late at night. Um, and we used to, hey, what's up, Sean? And so we used to do stuff like that. Me and Jake did that. And we were at a shop. I think we were in Riverside. We were in a shop at Riverside, and it was late at night. We were playing, past the store hours, whatever. We're playing Malifaux back in this time, and we were just getting so hype over nothing. Like, me and Jake would just get hype over, like, oh man, that's so cool. That's so cool, man. That's so cool. And then we there was these weird, like, these little folding card towers, not dice towers. Okay, these are those. You guys might know them from like playing Magic or whatever, right? Those plastic. They used to have this like folding plastic. I hear you have a hovering brick. Yes, um, you'd have this folding plastic card thing, and we were up late at night. We were hype as shit, just playing Malifaux, whatever. And we were talking about, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if that floating card thing did this? Oh yeah, it's so cool. Oh man, this is gonna change our lives. So we hyped each other up so hard to buy to buy this folding card holder thing, and we each bought one, like right before the register closed, because the guy was like, oh, I'm getting tired, I don't want to ring anybody else out. And we talked each other into getting these really stupid uh, folding card things. And at the time we're like, hell yeah, man, this is gonna change everything, you'll see, it's gonna be awesome. And we got these things, and we started to put cards in it that night, but we got too tired, so then we went home. And then the next day, uh, like I think I ended up texting Jake because I tried putting the rest of my cards in there, and it was just the dumbest piece of trash ever. And I'm texting him like, "Is your thing not working?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, it's not working. It's like sucks to put the cards into." And I was like, "Why did we get so hyped up over this stupid thing that doesn't work now?" And it was just like money. I think it only cost like $17 or something like that, right? But that's $17 that we promptly threw in a fire because we were both hyping each other up about how cool it would be to have this thing. We do that sometimes, right? Like, oh man, it would be so cool to have this. And you do that. I know most of us, we do that in our minds. Like, oh man, if I got 6 units of droids, oh, that would just change my life. I would just have the most droids. It would be the best. And you get 6 units of droids, and then you open up the packaging and you look at all the sprues, and you want to kill yourself, right? That's what happens. But Jake and I have that effect on each other that we're like, oh man, I'm gonna get this. It's gonna be so dope. Yeah, man, it's gonna be so good. And then we just decide suddenly that it's not good. Yeah. and we come to regret our decisions. So check it out. I got these smaller shot glasses, right? Just to fit Yoda here. Let's put Yoda on one of these smaller shot glasses. The mall was fun. You guys remember those days. Oh, Jake is in the comments. It was the FFG card holder with the little container. And it's still terrible. Oh, man. That's funny, right? But yeah, we call it gamer intoxication. Like we've been up. This would happen at conventions too, like because we would be up super late. It would have been our 30th game of Malifaux or whatever that day, and we would just have managed to talk each other into buying some really dumb shit. That's yeah, we used to just do that all the time. Okay, here's something that works. See that? So, if you remember my other shot glasses, here's one of my older shot glasses, right? If you put, I don't want to touch that stupid jumping Yoda, but if you put this on there, you can see that the flat lip goes beneath the level of the cup, right? And it makes it hard for you to paint all of that. So some of the stuff I painted for you, Nelson, which I'm sorry for, occasionally you'll have this like little strip at the bottom that you can see that wasn't painted, right? And that was really starting to bug me. I think some of your units I actually went back and redid because I was like, oh man, it's obvious, right? And you don't want to see that. So I have $300 in Weird Store credit, and I already ordered the dent. But yeah, it's just like sometimes it would result in something really cool, right? Sometimes we'd go, oh man, we're gonna play this game. It's gonna be so dope, right? We'll jump into a game and it'll be fun. Sometimes that happens. If we're not like I said, usually it has to do with us being up for a long amount of hours and really just sort of loopy, like oh yeah, whatever. What are we doing? Then something like that will happen. One time, and it's not just limited to Jake either. I know I did that with one time. Me and Matt almost bought Mythic Americas because we were in Comic Con. So we were like, we're totally gonna buy this game, man. You could play the Incas, you could play the Tribal Nations. I'm like, this game has been around for a year and there's still only 2 factions. And we almost bought that game many times. I think if you were to trap me and Matt in Comic Quest for like 5 to 6 hours and it's late at night, we would definitely end up buying Mythic Americas. You're like, oh man, this game's gonna change our lives. This is gonna be the best game that we ever got. So yeah, it just happens, man. You just get hype over shit. You're like, oh man, I don't even remember how that thing happened, Jake. But we were just, I think the register was closing, and we're like, oh, we gotta buy something. We just decided we gotta buy something, and we saw that, and we're like, oh man, that thing's gonna be so cool for our Malifaux cards. And at the time, the Malifaux cards folded out, and it was just bad. Like you put the stuff in, and you couldn't get it back out once it's folded in. Like it just didn't work right. The FFG, yeah. So that's what happens. You, you we, then we regret when our willpower. Yeah. How many times have we? I know we would look at Dark Age all the time. We would, because Siki used to have Dark Age. They would have it on that spinning turret, and the minis are so good for Dark Age. And we look at Dark Age, and we would, whatever we were playing at the time, we just felt like, oh, but it was mostly Eldorado. I'll blame Eldorado for that. Most of the time, we're like, oh yeah, but we're already playing Eldorado, and the logic there was that Eldorado looked evil as well, and it was on the same rack. That was it. That was all. That was the reason. Every time we look at Dark Age, we just, oh no, I'm not getting into it. We already have Eldorado, and we wouldn't pick up Dark. And now we're like, oh my god, we missed that awesome game. Oh well. Um, Another thing that we talked about today that was interesting, because you know like you guys know, I've been actively forcing myself to like something mainstream, right? So hence Legion and MCP. And no, I'm not going to try Infinity for the fifth or sixth time, whatever. I'm not going to do that. But I need to play something um, a little more mainstream, a little more accessible, because um, one, it's a great way to kind of to meet people that we may want to bring into the fold, that sort of thing, right? And two, it's just a good way to, so if you're supporting, like we're looking to actively, I like to actively support Comic Quest. So I better be playing something that is going to give me a reason for like regular or semi-regular purchase, right? So both of those games give me that reason. Um, the only thing I would say there, though, is I'm limiting by limiting the factions I want to collect. It does mean that I go through periods where I won't buy. Like I haven't bought MCP stuff for months because they haven't. They got the X-Men stuff, but They haven't released anything that I'm like, oh man, I need to go out and buy that. So, yeah. So the stream is about how shitty the FFG card holder is. That's fine. Oh man. What if the reason why that FFG decided to continue to make those was because they saw some sales in Southern California? All of us buying this card holder and then hating it. We accidentally made it popular. But yeah, we were talking about the the potential for GCT Studios for right for Bushido, that we could end up killing Bushido by making it too popular. You know what I mean? Because it's such a weird concept, but yeah, we could potentially kill GCT by making it more popular. And what I mean by that is you could push, GCT is a very small company, and it makes it casts the metal or the resin models, and it's reasonably popular for one of these really small boutique games. It's not Guild Ball. It's not Guild Ball popular. It's not it just kind of sits down there right in its own niche. I don't even know if it's comparable with Batman popular, right? The Batman miniature game. I don't think it is. I don't think it's quite as popular as Batman miniature game, right? But the three guys or whatever that run with GCT and Bushido, like they do okay. Their game is popular enough, and they fill orders, and right, and things are okay, and they can maintain a nice player base, and hopefully find Jake's stuff. that's at the bottom of the ocean. I'll email them again tomorrow. Um, but you can sustain like that, right? You can sustain. If they got suddenly and unexpectedly very popular to the point where their site is overloaded, they're out of stock all the time, that sort of thing, then we start the tug of war, right? With the consumers, we start that tug of war with the manufacturer, right? We want more stuff. Oh, we got to keep up with demand, right? And eventually, the customers are like, man, we're making their game so popular. Why don't they just hire new staff? Why don't they make new molds? Why don't they, increase their capacity and that sort of thing? And what's going to happen eventually is they will beef up, right? They're going to beef up a bit. They're going to start filling these orders. And then what's going to happen is the player base is going to get saturated because they can't because they're playing catch up, filling all the orders, and by the time they finally done playing catch up, they haven't released anything new. And so now you have a player base of people that basically have everything and they don't need to buy anymore, and suddenly their sales start to tank, right? And it's like, well, as their sales start to tank and people don't have anything to get excited about buying, they're not getting their release schedule, they're still dealing with shoddy customer service or quality control issues, then you know then suddenly this business, this Bushido business, is on the verge of becoming unsustainable because it's like, well, man, everybody has everything, and we're still just kind of struggling to release stuff, and we can't keep up with a good release schedule. Night Models was very close to that, right? You guys know that. Like, it was impossible at the start of third edition. It was very, very hard to get a third edition starter. It took forever for them to refill that, and then it took them a long time to refill the cards. There's still, right, we still have all those idiosyncrasies associated with Knight. But that said, they weathered this storm that I'm talking about. They weathered um, that supply and demand thing, and Knight was able to kind of overcome and get to a point where they're back to regular release. Bushido just released a new starter kit, and so what you need to what it has to be is there has to be that steady pace of release and making sure that people's orders are filled and that sort of thing. But you can kill a company by making it too successful. Weird almost happened. That almost happened to Weird when they were metal, and they made that switch to plastic, and they lost a bunch of people. Right? They lost a bunch of fans. They lost a bunch of because it was like, oh, I don't like the plastic. I don't like M2E. They almost lost it, right? And then they came back into it. So that's all I'm saying, right? It's a weird thing to discuss that, like, oh man, I love this game because it's so economical, and there's not much to collect, and the game system is smart and it's convenient and it's cheap and that sort of thing. And you have to understand, like, yeah, you can end up killing the company by by it being too generous and not collecting X amount of dollars from its player base every month, right? So that's why I'm like, man, I should play something. I should play something that I know is got a popular following, and it's got a regular release schedule, and it has a retail presence, right? So I could do that, and I can play Bushido, and I can play dead games like Wrath of Kings and that sort of thing. But it's important. I just realized that, like, in the last, I would say in the last 3 years, I realized it's important to really make the effort to play something that looks like it's got legs, even if it's. And I'm being honest here. The mechanically, Legion does nothing to blow my skirt up. Neither does MCP. They're they're, the games, they kind of flow the way you would like them to, and they've got a number of convenience to them, but they don't scratch the itch for me the way that like a Bushido does, or a Wrath of Kings, or even Malifaux, or even Batman. They just don't scratch the itch for me in those ways. They scratch a more common itch, if that makes sense, but they don't scratch those itches, if that makes sense. I don't know. Let's see. I'm late on these comments. I'm on the verge with Legion. I'm gonna need to come on and get gamer intoxicated to push me over the ledge. uh, yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is if you're gonna jump into Legion, like I would just say, you got make sure you're gonna get the mileage out of it, right? Because it's a war game. You're gonna build and paint and buy a larger amount of models and units than you would for a lot of skirmish games we play. So, right? Let me read some more comments here since I'm done building. So what you're saying is don't love this game and it will die. What? Just do Kickstarters. I don't know if we're that powerful. Okay, this is from several minutes ago during my long thing. Well, I guess Marvel and maybe Rivenstone. Yeah, but so it's important if you're gonna be. I just this is just me. I, we're a multi-system gaming group, right? We're a multi. The you guys that game with me, we don't just play one game. Even Brian, who I don't get to game with as often as with the rest of you, even Brian and I play two games. They're two AMG games, but they're two games, right? Um, and so it makes sense to kind of you got to have something that's a little more, it's got a bit of a following to it, but then you can also play the games that are really a lot of fun. Um, and I haven't given up on any of the 12 or whatever games that we've been through in the past 3 months, right? I'll still come back and play some Relic Knights. Yeah, I said it on stream, but yeah, I'll come back and play some of that if you want to play that, or if you want, I want to play some BMG, Sean, either, uh, I want to play, uh, yeah, Sean, if you're around tomorrow, I want to play either, well, I could play one of three games. BMG would be nice. I think that would be good. For the time, Bushido is also good. We could definitely fit in a good lunch game of Bushido. We could do Warcaster, but I'm gonna make if you really want to try it, I'll have to make arrangements to kind of make sure I have a little bit more time, because learning Warcaster is going to take a little bit longer than your average miniature game, because there is a specific ritual to Warcaster. I'm not saying it's a difficult game, because it's not. It's just built differently. And I think, like I said, that's probably the best thing about Warcaster, is that it really does make you think about wargaming a little differently than all these other games. But then I bitched about a lot of other stuff about Warcaster as well, right? That makes sense. There's definitely potential to draw people, these kinds of things. You could go run Legion at the Star Wars Con. People probably lose their. Yeah, I mean, they did Legion demos at at Star Wars Celebration, and I think this is what I think. So Jason is looking um, to start hosting some X-wing and some Legion events at Comic Quest, and um, I think that if we promoted like a skirmish come and learn how to play event for Legion, I think that would be pretty damn popular. Pretty dang popular, right? Um, if you had a format that really is based around learning how to play, and you maybe even had let's just break it down this way. Let's say you had, this is your this is your Legion event, right? And let's say you took two of the long tables and you said, you know what, we're going to reserve those two long tables for people who are experienced in playing and they want to play full versions of the game, right? So you got four people playing 800-point games. Then you have a mini tournament going on with skirmish, and you say, okay, we're going to do skirmish for most people, and then you might even have you're actually formally you're just doing a skirmish tournament. You just have it billed as a skirmish tournament. Um, but you also have like you also have like the ability or the capacity to host a demo game, right? And then when I say demo game, I mean just like take a starter box, paint it up, and just run those models, and just run like you could do Luke Skywalker, a couple units of Rebels, and Vader and a couple units of Stormies, right? You could just do that. Um, it, I think if you did that and you had those gaming demos running at the same time that there's a skirmish tournament, that would be pretty strong. Or people wanted to come. That's the thing. Every time Legion is out, there's people walking around. They're like, "Hey, how popular is Legion here? I own stuff. I just never played it, or I can't find people to play with." And it's like it's a huge opportunity to get to get some groundswell around it. The issue, the issue I see with the kind of tournament setting of Legion is kind of what we saw when we jumped into that tournament, which is and I'm just going to be frank about it. We had a bunch of people in that store, very few of which are actual, we'll say, regulars or locals to that store. We had people traveling to come and play, but you didn't have the tournament really kind of uh, uh, only draws out like the competitive people or the people who for them Legion is the only game or the only thing they do, right? You'll see that in gaming communities where the tournament scene will get to a point where maybe early on you have a bunch of casuals. If you don't take care of those casuals, and Jake and I know this painfully well, if you don't take care of those casuals, your shop or your meta will cut itself all the way down to just the most hardcore people. And it's not a very fun environment. Um, you know, we see that with pretty much every game. MCP, um, the first MCP tournament at Comic Quest had a ton of casual play. I was one of the casual players. Jumped into the tournament, had a lot of fun. I told you guys, two out of my three games in that first MCP tournament were super fun because I was playing against people who were also pretty new. They had more games in than I did because I didn't have any full games in until the tournament. Um, but it was that casual when you can get casuals, gaming together and getting used to like, oh, I'm gonna go to this event, I'm gonna learn how to play this. That's like way better long term. But if it's just tournament, it's it's just gonna force people down to that like, oh, the most hardcore people. Uh, so I like it, and I liked when we were like really actively trying to grow stuff that we would run really weird themed tournaments, but we'd run a lot of new player events, and then we would settle in and run like a formal tournament too. So you kind of need to have like the different formats like that, and I think AMG does a pretty good job of at least providing those formats, right? I think that in defense of the last Legion event, that was that in some ways at least it did feel kind of more like a casual game because everybody was playing this specialized scenario. But at the same time, I know what I noticed was that everybody cut their list to the exact fit for to play optimally in that scenario. So that's the thing. Let's see. I'm down with Batman and Bushido. Woohoo! Okay. Well, I'll have Two-Face. I got my Two-Face crew, and I got Bushido on me, so we're good. Legion was okay. Yes. Legion has the potential to be on par with 40k if AMG. Yes. I do agree with that, Nelson. It does have the potential to be like a a really big, somewhat legitimate threat to 40k. Totally agree. Um, it's just a matter of like having a really good, healthy community, right? I think what we have for a lot of these communities are just sort of like, yeah, just like I was saying, just the most hardcore people, the most competitive people, and you see them month in and month out, and you're like, they don't really grow. They don't really grow because the games kind of force themselves into that niche. But AMG games can be very light. You can play them very superficially, and while that doesn't really, like I said, blow my skirt up, it I do see the huge value in that. Let's see. Honestly, the potential for mass appeal is the most interesting thing about Legion for me. Like, if there's going to be some wacky fun events, I'm down. Well, yeah. Yeah. I think I think we have the potential to do that. 2v2 events. Will be king for a crew with Wookiees and Ewoks. That's actually pretty funny. Uh, Legion does have a 2v2 format, but it's a big game. Um, there might be a way we should probably look at that, like get a hold of the Legion 2v2, and we definitely need to try it. Um, so yeah, guys, if we can get together, like maybe we pick a Sunday and go, okay, me, Jason, Nelson, and Chris will play a 2v2, the 2v2 Legion format, and see how we like it. I think I think we should. I think that's worth a look. I've always had this like idea for 2v2 where which it's I know it's kind of impossible to do, but I would love it if you did a 2v2 where you had an experienced player. So every team has a veteran and a rookie, basically, right? And you give the rookie more points than the veteran. Okay, and so so let's say I'm just playing around here. Let's say it's an 800 point Legion game, and the you give the rookie 550 points, and you give the veteran 250 points per team, right? And the veteran is there to kind of help the rookie with because the rookie, in theory anyways, the rookie should have more activations than the vet. And so the vet has their activations and they can handle that and they can show the rookie certain things like, oh, look here, I'm going to do this. This is important. Here's how I do this, right? But the rookie is really the one ultimately in control of the bulk of the game, right? What you don't want something like that to be is you don't want it to be, well, the veteran tells the rookie exactly how to activate, who to activate, what to do. Like, you don't want it to be like that. You really kind of want it to be like like I said, like the rookie is in control of the bulk of the game. The veteran can have a huge impact with a small amount of points, but that's kind of the idea, right? Gamer intoxication. But yeah, that's and I'm not just talking about Legion. I've been wanting to do something like this with a gaming system forever, but it's impossible. You don't have enough, like maybe in our prime when we were, when we were building healthy communities in our prime, we probably could have done that type of event. But now that's just too hard to do. Um, but I don't know. I just always kind of love the idea that, like, okay, I don't know how to play this, because you put yourself in the shoes of, let's say, somebody that just went out and bought the Legion starter box. Like, oh yeah, I bought this for me and my son. Because this is literally me, right? I bought this for me and my son, put it together. In my case, I painted it, and I want to jump into something and learn how to play it. That something like that would be ideal for me, right? I get paired up with somebody who knows how to play the game, and you go through and you play your games and you start to learn that way. There's no pressure from like a turn. I know a lot of people don't like that pressure, like, oh, I'm going to jump in this tournament and people are just going to wreck me for 8 hours. A lot of people don't like that. They don't, and while I'll tell you, like, that's a great way to learn how to play a game, a lot of people will say that as well, like, oh, that's how I learned how to play. We just have to be realistic and understand that no, not a lot of people these days are going to want to do that with their time, right? Not a lot of casual people want to spend their time watching, right, Power Gamer X lecture them on why they took the wrong upgrades or whatever and take gooder stuff, right? So the idea is you can jump into something that you don't know much about, and it's the environment is designed for that, and the veterans that are attending that event, the knowledgeable people, are at that event specifically to help you, right? They're going to play their games, they're going to enjoy their games, they're going to be playing a challenge because, like, man, I only get 250 points. Whoa, what am I going to take, right? um but and we used to have formats similar to that. We had like Achievement League for Malifaux, right, where we had a mix of new players and veterans. And the veterans, we designed a hardcore mode for them where they're playing an Achievement League, but their achievements are based on helping new players discover something or learn things about the game. Whereas, the newbie, their achievements were based on just like, oh, okay, this is how to use a soul stone. Like, use a soul stone to do this, use a soul stone to do that. And you check all those things off. At the end of the day, we award prizes. Like, those were really cool events. They took a lot of bandwidth to run. Right? We would have, when we would do stuff like that, we would have like 3 or 4 henchmen on site that their job was to just help make everything run smoothly, to help people to teach people about all this kind of stuff. But those events were so good because it's like, the most casual people would show up and they would play 3 full games of Malifaux. Well, they'd build up to full games of Malifaux. And by the end of it, they'd be like, wow, I actually learned a lot about the game and I had a lot of fun. I'm probably going to go to the next event, right? You kind of need to, yeah, you kind of need to, that's like how, that's like how we grew the community back then. It's like we understood that. Well, 2 things. One, we understood that that's what you needed to do, and we had the people to do that. We had enough people pushing to do that. And then 2, we just we had the bandwidth to do it, right? We would spend, Jake and I would spend at least 40 hours a week playing Malifaux. Right? We talk about like our week would be, we would play Malifaux like 5 days a week. Right? It was a second job basically. And we would travel, we would play at different stores. And we made sure, like, if we went to a store in our region, we made sure that there was somebody in that store, in that area, that we're like, okay, that's the person we're going to encourage that person to become a henchman, right? And we would have them like, okay, you're going to be the henchman for this area up here. We're just, right? We used to do that. Like, we had a crazy amount of coordination to do that. And I'm not suggesting that you do this, but we did it. And there's some real pitfalls to it, right? Obviously there were some problems to it. Like it was a huge time sink for us. At times, people would say, people on the inside working with us would go, "Man, this kind of feels like a business." And that's a legitimate criticism. They'd be like, "Oh man, this kind of feels like a business, and I don't know. I don't want to be an employee and then play a game and enjoy it." Like, yeah, no, totally get that. I didn't get it at the time because was I was obsessed with making this big like empire kind of run. Um, I'm suggesting people do this. Yeah, well, yeah, Jake. I mean, if they have the kind of bandwidth that we had, you were you were pre grad school. I was pre kids, and we had that kind of bandwidth, right? Uh, but that was that's what it took back then to do what we did, and it's like, how do you? That's like the number one question people have is how to build something like that. Well, at the heart of it, you have to have some really, really, really dedicated people that can get gamer intoxicated and talk each other into doing some really dumb shit, but always end up enjoying it. And then, like I said, you just kind of you have a flow of the events you're going to run. You maintain that the kind of atmosphere in your community as you're growing it. It's just a lot of stuff. Uh, you just paid up. Yeah, see, it was crazy. Um, I remember when all this was going down. This was, I think you might remember, like SoCal SmackDown 2013. I want to say SoCal SmackDown, the last SmackDown. I think it was 2013. It was 2012, 2013, one of those. And I had dinner with the Martindales. Right, I was having dinner with the Martindales, and they were, and we were kind of laughing. Like, how many conventions? They're like, Octave, how many conventions do you do this year? And I was like, I think I did like 12 or 13. How many conventions do you guys do? They're like, oh, I think we did like 15. I'm like, damn. And during the course of dinner, we talked about how many conventions we went to, how much money we've spent, and how much time went into this and this whole thing. And I told, like, towards the end of the dinner, I told them, like, I'm planning on having kids, right? I'm going to have kids. So I'm like, this is going to be over for me soon, right? This is like, these are some of the last shows I'm going to run, like a big show like that. And their faces kind of dropped a little, and they were like, man, that sucks, because we were going to ask you to take on, because they were leaving Southern California, and they were like, and they were going to ask me to help kind of sustain the giant, like, community that they put together. And I'm not talking about War Machine, actually. I'm talking about their like the gaming club that they ran. It was a big group. They're like, Octave, can you help with that? And I was like, no, man, I'm gonna have kids. That's my plan, right? And so, anyways, we kind of went into that whole story, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, there's a lot of potential in Legion if you wanted to build a good community around it. I think it's definitely got the legs for that, and the IP has got that. As long as I'm not like talking too much trash on Star Wars, but yeah. Let's see. Too bad I didn't really know you back then. Would have had some. Yeah, we That was the stuff that our crew would do. Was it was like looking back at that, we gotta. It's like I can't believe we did half of the shit that we did back in those days. Um, but there were just so many cool. Um, there were just so many cool kind of things that we either came up with or borrowed or used to make the whole thing run. And yeah, and it was super cool. But it's just one of those things where you wish that for every community of gaming. I wish that it wasn't just like you know a a couple of really powerful examples. I wish it was like almost every gaming like area or community ran quite like that. Um, but it's just not realistic, right? That said, we're just still some people that can get each other like stupidly hype over shit and play the games or whatever. But yeah. All right. Well, I'm done building because I'm gonna let all these things kind of dry. I'm gonna read a couple of comments here and then we'll call it because I got to get up and go to work tomorrow. I'll try to show you this tank. I don't know if I can fit it on camera, but I did build. I'm gonna move these for a minute. Let's see. It's cool. All the connections we made. Still have games. We'll travel over the coast to play with people we met. Hell yeah. Every now and then I'll still run into people that are like, I know you. You taught me some game or whatever, and that's always kind of cool. That to me, that's always kind of cool. It'll be just the most random thing. I'll be at a convention or a shop that I haven't been to or whatever. So working on that. I can't really paint that on stream, but I will paint that. But yeah, so we're working on that. Here's the pilot. I didn't know what color we're doing, so I'm doing like a standard droid theme on that. But we'll get going on that. And then I think the next project for me is going to be Pirates, so Shark Boys. I'll be playing some Shark Boys, so. All right, guys. Let's see. Being hype over dumb shit's always fun, so I miss Guild Ball because our Guild Ball community that's another one, right? That was another really healthy community. I would say that Guild Ball, I know I'm supposed to sign off, but the Guild Ball community was it was definitely more of a competitive scene, but I think our community still kept that insanely cool. Right? It was still really fun to come to Guild Ball events, even if you were like, okay, I'm going to get whooped by Kevin every single time. It was still super fun. Our group was super fun. We enjoyed each other's company. After the tournament, people would still want to be playing games at Guild Ball, and we just I don't know, man. That's the kind of stuff that whenever we talk about like gaming communities, I think about some of these communities that we've had over the years. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we want. That's so cool. And don't get me wrong, I love our group, but I don't think anyone would disagree with me if I said, hey, it would be cool to bring in a couple new faces, right? If we could find some people that have the multi-game bug, they're like, oh yeah, I'll play that. Oh yeah, I'll try that. Like we need, just add a couple of people that have a certain willingness, a certain flexibility with their gamer intoxication. I think that would be really cool. It gets confusing as hell. There's one downside is whenever we're talking about Sunday, it's like, okay, how many different games do I need to bring just in case? But that's more than happy to take on an inconvenience like that, just for to have the kind of flexibility that we have playing. So, anyways, that's going to do it for the stream. I know I stopped building a long time ago, but want to thank everyone for watching. So, have a good night, guys. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.